The Galactic Concordat's scout vessel hovered silently above Earth's atmosphere. Captain Dak observed the blue planet with growing interest through the ship's viewing portal. His gray skin reflected the blue glow from the world below as he studied its oceans and landmasses. Another primitive world, his second-in-command lore noted, watching satellite footage of human conflicts playing across multiple screens. The images showed tanks rolling across desert landscapes and naval vessels patrolling coastlines. Yes, but rich in resources. The Council will be pleased. Dak's four-fingered hand moved across the control panel, compiling his assessment. The humans appeared to be engaged in petty territorial disputes, using what the Concordat considered obsolete technology. Their military capabilities seemed limited to atmospheric craft and ground vehicles. No evidence of unified planetary defense or advanced space technology had been detected. Dak forwarded his assessment to the Concordat leadership, recommending immediate diplomatic intervention. They fight among themselves using chemical propellants and basic digital communications. The transition to Concordat management should proceed smoothly. In the command center of the scout ship, the crew worked efficiently, collecting data on Earth's infrastructure, energy production, and military capabilities. They mapped major population centers and identified key leadership figures from intercepted broadcasts and communications. Their most advanced weapons appear to be nuclear missiles with limited range. The weapons analyst reported, "Nothing that could reach our position, let alone pose a threat to our diplomatic fleet." Dak nodded with satisfaction. The Concordat had incorporated hundreds of worlds using this approach. Find a developing civilization, arrive with overwhelming technological superiority, and offer protection and guidance in exchange for resources and compliance. Few species resisted when faced with the reality of their cosmic insignificance. 3 lunar cycles later, the magnificent Concordat diplomatic fleet appeared in Earth's orbit. Their gleaming ships arranged in perfect formation as they broadcast their message across human communication channels. 12 massive vessels, each larger than Earth's largest naval carriers, positioned themselves strategically around the planet. The flagship, commanded by Ambassador Mrek, took position over the northern hemisphere. From there, the Concordat began broadcasting their carefully crafted message in all major Earth languages. People of Earth, we come in peace as representatives of the Galactic Concordat, an alliance of advanced civilizations dedicated to progress and development throughout the galaxy. We have observed your struggles and wish to offer guidance, protection, and access to technologies beyond your current understanding. Prepare to receive our envoys. Your world stands on the threshold of a new era. The message repeated on a continuous loop, overriding television broadcasts, radio signals, and digital communications. Images of the Concordat's achievements accompany the audio, gleaming cities, advanced medical procedures, and feats of engineering that seemed like magic to human eyes. In Seoul, Defense Minister Kim Tae-ho stared at the monitors displaying the alien vessels. The room around him buzzed with controlled activity as military personnel monitored the situation. The aliens' massive ships dwarfed anything humans had publicly acknowledged building. Kim reached for his secure phone, entering a 12-digit code that activated a special protocol. It's time. Notify all stations. The call connected to multiple locations simultaneously, hidden facilities beneath mountains, underwater bases, and what appeared to be ordinary office buildings in major cities worldwide. Operation Revelation is now active. Authorization code, Morningstar. Across the globe, personnel in secret facilities acknowledged the order. Systems that had remained dormant for decades began powering up. Hidden machinery hummed to life in bunkers and undersea bases. Crews moved with practiced precision, having drilled for this moment for years. In Washington, London, Beijing, Moscow, and New Delhi, similar scenes unfolded. Military leaders accessed secure communications channels that had never been detected by the Concordat surveillance. President Park Ji-won sat in the underground command center beneath the presidential residence. Around her, advisors and military officials provided updates from around the world. The aliens had positioned their vessels strategically, covering major population centers. They're following the standard Concordat First Contact Protocol, reported Intelligence Director Ba Yunho. Exactly as our long-range probes observed on other worlds. Park nodded gravely as reports flooded in. The aliens had already dispatched smaller craft toward major capital cities. They would expect to meet with Earth's leaders within hours. Maintain silence. Let them think we're stunned, she ordered. All defense systems remain cloaked. No unauthorized communications with the alien vessels. On screens around the room, news channels showed panicked reporters and civilians reacting to the alien ships. Stock markets plummeted. Religious leaders called for calm. Military forces around the world publicly mobilized in what would appear to the aliens as disorganized, primitive responses. The Concordat observers will interpret this chaos exactly as we want them to, Park said. They expect fear, confusion, and eventually submission. They believe we have no choice but to accept their terms. Defense Minister Kim looked up from his tablet. Ambassador Mrek has requested a meeting with the United Nations Security Council in 6 hours. They're sending landing craft to New York. President Park's expression remained calm, though her eyes reflected steely determination. Perfect. That gives our teams enough time to finalize preparations. The Concordat believes they're about to welcome another helpless world into their empire. She stood and addressed the room. For 3 generations, we've prepared for this moment. Our ancestors detected their scout ships decades ago and made the decision to hide our true capabilities. Today, the Concordat learns that humanity is not what they expected. Outside, the alien ships loomed in the sky, visible to naked eyes as bright points of light. Inside Earth's hidden facilities, humanity's real technology waited for the signal to reveal itself. Ambassador Mrek of the Concordat stood before the Emergency United Nations Assembly, his tall, slender form radiating confidence. The alien's skin had a faint blue sheen under the bright lights of the assembly hall. His 6-fingered hands gestured gracefully as he spoke. Behind him stood 4 other aliens, each wearing ornate uniforms that seemed to shift colors with their movements. The gathered world leaders watched in stunned silence. Many had arrived just hours after the alien ships appeared in Earth's skies. Security teams lined the walls of the chamber, their hands never far from their weapons. People of Earth, Mrek began, his voice translated through devices his team had set up around the room. The Galactic Concordat has watched your world for many cycles. We have seen your wars, your pollution, your struggle to advance beyond your primitive technology. On large screens behind him, images of Earth's conflicts played. Tanks firing in desert landscapes, forest fires raging, polluted rivers flowing into seas. The Galactic Concordat offers Earth protection and guidance. We will elevate your species to proper galactic citizens under our supervision. You have 72 hours to prepare for the formal acceptance ceremony. Murmurs spread through the assembly. The Secretary General rose from her seat. Ambassador Mrek, surely we should discuss the terms of this arrangement. Earth's nations must consult with their governments. This decision cannot be made so quickly. Mrek's thin lips curved into what might have been a smile. There is nothing to discuss. The Concordat does not negotiate with developing worlds. We offer advancement, protection from cosmic threats you cannot imagine, medical technology that will end your diseases. He paused, his yellow eyes scanning the room. In exchange, we will manage your resources efficiently. Your industries will be restructured to serve greater galactic needs. Your militaries will be disbanded, as they will no longer be necessary. The Russian representative stood up. And if we refuse this generous offer? Ambassador Mrek's face showed no emotion. Refusal is not recommended. Worlds that reject Concordat guidance often face natural disasters, asteroid impacts, solar flares, tragic events that the Concordat could have prevented with our superior technology. The threat hung in the air. On the screens, the images changed to show Concordat ships easily destroying small moons and redirecting comets. The formal acceptance ceremony will take place in New York City in 72 hours. We expect all major world leaders to attend and sign the integration treaties. Concordat ships will land in each of your capital cities simultaneously to begin the transition process. With that, Mrek turned and left the podium, his entourage following closely behind. Armed guards escorted the aliens from the chamber as shocked whispers filled the room. Outside the UN building, crowds of people watched on giant screens. Some cheered at the promise of advanced technology. Others protested, holding signs demanding resistance. Concordat scout ships hovered overhead, recording everything. Behind closed doors, emergency meetings began immediately. World leaders spoke in hushed tones about their limited options. Military advisors presented grim assessments of Earth's chances against the alien fleet. Later that day, in a secure bunker beneath the Han River, General Lee Do-hyun addressed the gathered military leadership. The underground facility was buried deep, shielded from all known scanning technologies. 40 high-ranking officers from around the world sat around a large table, with dozens more joining via secure holographic projections. They'd given us their ultimatum. Just as we anticipated, Lee said, bringing up a replay of the UN address. The Concordat follows the same pattern they've used on hundreds of worlds. Impress with technology, threaten with destruction, promise benefits, and then slowly strip the planet of resources while reducing the population. A British admiral spoke up. Our deep space probes confirmed this last year. The worlds they protect become little more than mining colonies within a generation. General Lee nodded, which is why Operation Revelation was put in place by our grandparents. For 3 generations, we've hidden our true technological progress while monitoring the Concordat's expansion through the galaxy. Colonel Yoon Soo-min entered the room, carrying a tablet with the latest data. She bowed slightly to the assembled leaders before handing the device to General Lee. Their scanning technology is exactly as our probes reported. The camouflage systems remain undetected. On the main display, a map showed the positions of the Concordat ships in orbit. Red lines indicated their scanning patterns. Green areas showed Earth's hidden facilities and technologies, none of which appeared on the alien scans. Good, Lee replied. Operation Revelation remains on schedule. He stood and walked to the main display. Our planetary shield generators are fully charged. The orbital defense platforms are ready to decloak on command. Our fleet is prepared to launch from the lunar bases and underground facilities. The room fell silent as General Lee brought up an image of Earth as seen from space. Then he activated an overlay showing what was really there, hidden beneath cloaking technology that had taken decades to perfect. Thousands of defense satellites, hundreds of warships in hidden docks, energy weapons strong enough to destroy planets. For 70 years, we've maintained the illusion of a divided, primitive Earth while secretly unifying and advancing. The Concordat expects us to submit in 72 hours. General Lee's face hardened. Instead, they will learn the truth about humanity. Colonel Yoon stepped forward. All military forces are in position. Civilian evacuation to the underground shelters begins tonight, disguised as emergency drills. If the Concordat detects any unusual activity, they'll attribute it to panic over their arrival. Around the world, preparation continued in secret. Families packed essential items, believing they were practicing for a possible alien attack. They didn't know they were actually preparing for humanity's greatest revelation. In orbit, the Concordat ships continued their scans, detecting nothing but a frightened, primitive world preparing to surrender. Ambassador Mrek reported to his superiors that Earth's integration would proceed smoothly, just like dozens of worlds before it. He had no idea what awaited them in 72 hours. The Concordat landing party prepared for descent. Their sleek shuttle gleamed under the Earth's sun as it hovered above New York City. Inside, Ambassador Mrek adjusted his ceremonial robes and nodded with satisfaction at the scene below. The humans had cleared Central Park for the landing, just as instructed. Their primitive military response, a few fighter jets circling overhead, and tanks positioned around the landing zone, amused him. "These humans are even more primitive than we thought," he remarked to his aide, Trell. "Look at those aircraft. Chemical propulsion. Not even basic anti-gravity systems." Trell displayed data on a floating screen. "Our intelligence confirms they're using their most advanced weapons. Their leaders are gathering as ordered. The acceptance ceremony can proceed on schedule." Mrek studied the human military vehicles through the shuttle viewports. The tanks looked like toys from this height. The fighter jets were laughably slow compared to Concordat vessels. He had overseen the integration of 12 worlds into the Concordat, but none had seemed as helpless as Earth. "Begin final approach," Mrek ordered the pilot. "Maintain open communications with the fleet." The shuttle descended slowly toward Central Park. On the ground, human news crews pointed cameras skyward. Civilians pressed against barricades, their faces showing a mixture of fear and wonder. World leaders waited on a hastily constructed platform, their expressions grim. Suddenly, the communication officer's voice cut through the calm preparations. "Ambassador, our sensors are detecting anomalies in Earth's atmosphere." Mrek turned sharply. "Explain." "Energy fluctuations, sir. Unprecedented patterns. The readings make no sense." The officer's fingers moved rapidly over the controls, similar anomalies appearing globally. Above major cities worldwide, the sky began to shimmer like heat waves over desert sand. In New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Sydney, and dozens of other locations, the blue sky rippled and distorted. People on the ground pointed upward, confusion replacing their earlier awe. In a cloaked command ship hovering 30,000 feet above Seoul, Commander Kang Junho sat in his captain's chair. Around him, the bridge crew worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. Holographic displays showed the positions of every Concordat vessel currently surrounding Earth. "All systems are ready," Commander reported his executive officer. "Planetary defense grid at full power. All vessels report ready status." Commander Kang took a deep breath. This moment had been 70 years in the making. 3 generations of secrecy, building a defense force in complete isolation, hiding their true technological achievements from both the stars and their own citizens. Only those with the highest clearance knew what was about to happen. "The Concordat believes they face a primitive, divided world," Kang said to his crew. "Today they learn the truth. Humanity is neither primitive nor helpless." He pressed his palm against a scanner, confirming his identity and authority. The system requested vocal confirmation. "Commander Kang Junho, authorization Polaris Omega." The computer acknowledged with a soft tone. Kang looked at the main view screen, showing Ambassador Mrek's shuttle continuing its descent toward New York. "Deactivate planetary camouflage. All vessels reveal." The order cascaded through the global defense network. In hidden bases around the world, operators initiated the deactivation sequence for the most sophisticated cloaking system ever built. In New York, Ambassador Mrek felt the shuttle shake slightly. "What was that?" "Sir, the anomalies are intensifying," the communications officer reported, panic edging into his voice. "Energy readings off the scale." The sky split open as if reality itself was tearing apart. Above New York, a massive section of blue sky seemed to peel away like a torn paper, revealing a colossal warship hovering silently above the city. The human vessel dwarfed the Concordat shuttle, its dark hull covered with weapons ports and energy projectors. The same scene repeated worldwide. Massive warships materialized where empty air had been moments before. Over Beijing, a vessel stretching 3 miles in length appeared directly above the Forbidden City. Above London, a circular platform bristling with defense cannons faded into view. Over the oceans, enormous floating cities surfaced, revealing bases that had remained hidden beneath the waves. In orbit, the greatest shock awaited the Concordat fleet. Space stations, defense platforms, and thousands of vessels suddenly appeared in perfect formation around Earth. What had seemed like empty space was now filled with humanity's true might, a defense force larger than anything the Concordat had encountered in its centuries of expansion. On the bridge of his command ship, Kane watched as the planetary camouflage systems deactivated in sequence. The technology had been humanity's greatest achievement and most closely guarded secret. It didn't just hide objects. It hid energy signatures, heat, mass, everything that might betray their existence to watching eyes. All units report successful revelation, his tactical officer announced. Concordat vessels are taking defensive positions. On his flagship in orbit, Mrek stared in horror at the images flooding his screens. Where there had been nothing but empty space around Earth, now thousands of human warships formed a defensive sphere around the planet. Space stations larger than anything in the Concordat Navy controlled key orbital positions. Weapons platforms targeted his vessels with precision. Impossible, Mrek whispered, his confidence evaporating. This can't be real. His science officer worked frantically at the sensor station. The readings are accurate, Ambassador. These ships were there all along. Their cloaking technology. We've never seen anything like it. Mrek struggled to comprehend what he was seeing. In his centuries of service to the Concordat, no species had ever hidden their true capabilities so completely. The primitive world he had come to subjugate had revealed itself to be a technological powerhouse. In New York, the Concordat shuttle hovered uncertainly as the massive human warship cast its shadow over Central Park. The human military vehicles that had seemed so primitive now opened to reveal advanced energy weapons rising from hidden compartments. The fighter jets that had circled overhead transformed, their outer shells falling away to expose sleek combat craft with technology matching or exceeding Concordat standards. Ambassador Mrek's shuttle pilot turned to him, fear evident in his eyes. Orders, sir. Should we abort the landing? Before Mrek could answer, a communication request flashed on their main screen. The face that appeared belonged to President Park Ji-won, her expression calm but stern. Ambassador Mrek, your shuttle is now surrounded by Earth Defense Forces. You will continue your landing as planned. There is much we need to discuss about the future relationship between Earth and the Galactic Concordat. As the shuttle resumed its descent, Mrek looked out at the transformed Earth. The primitive world he had come to conquer had been an illusion. The real Earth, powerful, united, and technologically advanced, had just announced its presence to the galaxy. And the Concordat was not prepared. Admiral Han Mi-jin stood on the bridge of the EDS Defender, Earth's largest warship. The massive vessel measured over 5 kilometers in length, its sleek black hull bristling with weapon ports and sensor arrays. Through the main viewport, Earth looked peaceful below, a blue jewel now surrounded by its revealed defense fleet. The bridge hummed with quiet efficiency as crew members monitored systems and tracked the positions of the Concordat vessels. Tactical displays showed the alien ships now surrounded by Earth's forces, outgunned and outmaneuvered. Status report, Han ordered, her voice calm despite the historic moment unfolding. All systems operating at optimal capacity. Admiral, reported Captain Ryu, her second in command. Concordat fleet remains in defensive formation. Their weapon systems are powered but not targeted. They appear to be waiting. Han nodded and straightened her dark blue uniform. She had trained for this moment her entire life. Like her parents and grandparents before her, she had dedicated herself to Earth's secret defense program, knowing that someday the Concordat would arrive with their false promises and hidden threats. Open communication with the Concordat flagship, she ordered. Channel open, Admiral. The communications officer confirmed. Broadcasting on all frequencies they can receive. The main view screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the Concordat vessel. Ambassador Mrek sat in his command chair, surrounded by his officers. The confidence he had displayed earlier at the United Nations was gone. His yellow eyes darted nervously between screens showing Earth's revealed military might. This is Admiral Han Mi-jin of the Earth Defense Fleet. Ambassador Mrek, we are ready to discuss new terms. Mrek's voice trembled slightly as he responded. This deception is unprecedented. The Concordat came in peace, offering advancement to your species. Several officers on the Defender's Bridge exchanged knowing glances. They had all studied the Concordat's history of peaceful integrations that ended with subjugated worlds stripped of resources. Ambassador Mrek, Han spoke calmly, humanity has been aware of galactic civilizations for over a century. We chose isolation and secrecy while we developed. She nodded to her tactical officer, who transmitted a prepared data package to the Concordat vessel. On the screen, Mrek's eyes widened as he viewed the incoming information. 70 years ago, our long-range sensors detected your scout ships observing our solar system. Instead of announcing ourselves, we made a different choice. We unified our world in secret while maintaining the appearance of division. We built our fleet while hiding it from your observers. The images displayed on Mrek's screen showed the construction of Earth's massive underground shipyards. Enormous facilities beneath the oceans and mountains where humanity's true technological progress had flowered, hidden from prying eyes. Impossible, Mrek whispered. Your species was fighting primitive wars just decades ago. The conflicts we observed, carefully staged for your benefit, Han interrupted. The wars you saw were controlled exercises using outdated technology, designed to make the Concordat believe we were centuries behind your development. She transmitted a second data package. But our deception goes beyond Earth. The new images made Mrek physically recoil in his seat. They showed Earth stealth vessels hovering undetected near key Concordat worlds. Military installations, fleet staging areas, even the Concordat homeworld itself. Our stealth technology exceeds yours. We've been studying you for decades, Han explained. We know your true intentions for Earth. We've seen what happens to worlds that accept your guidance. The resource extraction, the population control, the slow cultural erasure. On the Defender's Bridge, Captain Ryu leaned close to Admiral Han and whispered, "The Concordat fleet is powering up engines. They may be preparing to flee or attack." Han nodded almost imperceptibly before returning her attention to the screen. "Your fleet is completely surrounded, Ambassador. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields, but we do not seek conflict." She rose from her chair and stepped closer to the view screen. "Here is our counterproposal. Withdraw immediately. Return to your council with this message. Earth will engage with the galaxy as equals, not subjects." Mrek's composure crumbled further. "You don't understand the consequences of rejecting the Concordat's protection. There are dangers in the galaxy. Dangers like you." Han's voice hardened. "We know about the natural disasters that befall worlds that refuse your terms. Asteroid impacts that somehow bypass planetary defenses. Solar flares that mysteriously intensify. We are prepared for such tactics." She gestured to her tactical officer, who transmitted a final data package. The images showed Earth vessels stationed near large asteroids in the Concordat's home system, and monitoring equipment placed near their star. "We can play that game too, Ambassador, but we would prefer peace between equals." Silence fell over both bridges. The Concordat officers whispered urgently to their ambassador, who seemed frozen in shock. The enormity of Earth's deception, and the implications for the Concordat's security, was still sinking in. Finally, Mrek found his voice. "The Concordat has existed for 10,000 years. We have incorporated hundreds of worlds into our protection. Never has a species concealed its true nature so thoroughly." "Perhaps that says more about your approach than our deception," Han replied. "You arrived expecting to find a primitive world ready for conquest. Instead, you found a civilization that has been watching you, studying your tactics, and preparing for this day." One of Mrek's officers whispered something in his ear. The ambassador nodded grimly before addressing Han again. "I must consult with the council. This situation is unprecedented." "You have 6 hours to begin your withdrawal from Earth orbit," Han stated firmly. "In the meantime, your landing parties will remain where they are, under observation. Any attempt to take hostile action will be met with immediate response. Admiral Han returned to her command chair as the communication ended. The bridge remained silent for a moment as the crew processed what had just happened. "Do you think they'll leave peacefully?" Captain Ryo asked quietly. Han studied the tactical display showing the Concordat vessels now surrounded by Earth's fleet. They have no choice. Their entire strategy relies on technological superiority. Now that they know we've been watching them for decades, they'll be frantically trying to figure out what else we know. She turned to her communications officer. "Send word to all Earth vessels. Maintain alert status. And contact President Park. Tell her Phase 1 is complete." As orders were relayed throughout Earth's revealed fleet, Admiral Han looked out at the stars beyond the Concordat ships. For generations, humanity had hidden its true nature from the galaxy, developing in isolation specifically to avoid the fate that had befallen so many worlds. Today marked the end of that isolation. The Concordat thought they found another primitive world to exploit, Han said softly. Instead, they awakened a sleeping giant. 6 months later, the first official Earth delegation arrived at the Galactic Council. The massive space station known as the Nexus hung in neutral space, its ring-shaped structure glittering with lights from 1,000 different civilizations. Earth's diplomatic vessel, the EDS Harmony, approached the docking bay, its sleek hull drawing curious stares from other ships in the vicinity. Ambassador Choi Hai-jin stood before a mirror in her quarters, adjusting her formal blue uniform. The golden Earth emblem on her chest caught the light as she took a deep breath. For decades, humans had prepared for this moment while keeping their true capabilities hidden from the galaxy. "Ambassador, we've received clearance to dock," her aide informed her. "The Council is ready to receive Earth's delegation." Choi nodded. "How are the representatives from the formerly subjugated worlds responding to our arrival?" "With great interest, Ambassador. Several have requested private meetings after the main council session." The Harmony docked smoothly at the station. As the airlock opened, Choi led 12 human representatives onto the Nexus. The delegation included scientists, military officers, and cultural experts, carefully selected to represent Earth's diversity. Station security. Tall, four-armed beings with iridescent scales escorted them through vast hallways filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Some species resembled Earth life forms. Others defied description, moving on multiple limbs or floating in personal atmosphere bubbles. Many stopped to stare at the humans. Earth's dramatic revelation 6 months earlier had sent shockwaves through galactic society. The story of how a supposedly primitive world had hidden its true development and then outmaneuvered the powerful Concordat had spread to every corner of known space. The delegation arrived at the Grand Chamber doors. Through the transparent material, they could see representatives of 50 species already seated in the tiered council room. At the center, a raised platform held the seats of the 7 most influential civilizations, including the Concordat. "The Council will now welcome the representatives of Earth," announced a melodic voice over the chamber's communication system. The doors slid open. Ambassador Choi led her people into the chamber with measured steps. The room fell silent as the humans walked to their assigned position at the speaking platform. Overhead, floating cameras broadcast the historic moment across thousands of worlds. The Concordat representatives sat subdued in their once dominant position, their status diminished after the Earth revelation. Their blue skin seemed paler than usual, their posture less confident. The humiliation of being deceived so thoroughly had cost them significant influence in the Council. Smaller species watched with newfound hope as humans entered as equals. Many of these civilizations have been incorporated into the Concordat through the same tactics attempted on Earth, false promises followed by resource exploitation. They saw in humanity a potential ally against their powerful overseers. Ambassador Choi stepped to the central podium. Her image appeared on large screens throughout the chamber, translating devices converting her words into each species' language. "Honored representatives of the galaxy, I bring greetings from Earth. For generations, Our world observed yours from afar, hidden behind our technologies, studying and learning before making ourselves known." She paused, her gaze moving deliberately to the Concordat delegation. "We chose secrecy not from fear, but from wisdom. We saw how the Concordat approached developing worlds, with promises of advancement that quickly became control and exploitation." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many species had experienced exactly this pattern, but had never before heard it stated so boldly in the Council. For too long, the Concordat has claimed to bring civilization while taking resources. Choi addressed the assembly. Earth proposes a new relationship between worlds. True mutual respect and cooperation. She activated a holographic display showing Earth's proposed treaty system, fair trade agreements, cultural exchange programs, and mutual defense pacts that protected smaller worlds from exploitation. Earth does not seek to replace one dominant power with another. We seek balance, partnership, true exchange between equals. The leader of the Concordat delegation, Supreme Counselor Vex, rose to speak. "The humans speak of equality while they kept hidden vessels near our homeworld. They accuse us of deception while practicing it themselves for generations." Ambassador Choi remained calm. "Our vessels were never positioned to attack, only to observe. And yes, we practiced deception, to protect ourselves from the fate that befell worlds like Tarsus IV and Proxima Centauri, whose resources were stripped within decades of Concordat guidance. On a dozen formerly prosperous worlds, now depleted under Concordat management, citizens watched the broadcast with growing excitement. In hidden resistance bases, freedom fighters cheered as humans named the injustices they had suffered. Earth offers a new path forward," Choi continued. "We will share our stealth technology with worlds that wish to protect themselves. We will establish trade routes that benefit all participants equally. And we will defend those who ask for our protection, not as subjects, but as allies." On Earth, citizens watched the live broadcast as humanity officially joined the galactic community. In homes and public squares, people gathered around screens displaying the council chamber. For most, it was their first glimpse of alien species. Only months earlier, they had learned the truth about their own government's secret space program and the existence of advanced human technology. The Earth Defense Fleet will patrol trade routes previously monopolized by the Concordat, Choi announced. Any world wishing to renegotiate their terms with the Concordat will have Earth's diplomatic support. The representatives from smaller worlds erupted in applause. Several Concordat-controlled species exchanged meaningful glances, already planning how to use this new leverage. Defense platforms remained vigilant around Earth, but for the first time, Earth's ships patrolled openly throughout the solar system. The massive orbital stations that had remained hidden for decades now served as busy ports for both military and civilian vessels. In his office overlooking the newly revealed orbital station above Busan, President Park smiled as he watched the council broadcast. Through the wide window, he could see the sprawling space facility that had been concealed beneath holographic clouds for generations. Now shuttles moved freely between Earth and the station, carrying workers and supplies. On his desk sat reports from Earth colonies on Mars and Europa, also recently revealed to the public. The secret space program had expanded far beyond mere defense, establishing human outposts throughout the solar system. "Madam President," his aide said, entering with a data tablet, "we're receiving requests for alliance talks from 17 previously Concordat-controlled worlds." President Park nodded, still watching Ambassador Choi addressing the council. Humanity's long isolation has ended, not with subjugation, but with strength. She turned away from the window to study a holographic map of the galaxy, with Earth now glowing as a new power center among the stars. And now the real work begins. Across the galaxy, the balance of power had shifted. The Concordat's millennia of unchallenged dominance had ended. A new era had begun, one where Earth stood as a beacon for worlds seeking freedom from exploitation. The planet that had hidden itself away had emerged not just as another civilization, but as a force that would reshape galactic society for generations to come. The End.